We're beginning to wind down, but that's actually incorrect. We're beginning to wind up, yes, ma'am.
Who do you talk to in your church? I go to Dawson.
Anybody.
Anybody.
Seriously, really. And we have that's a good thing. And I don't mean to take that lightly. I'll get to it at my appointed time. But I got to stay on point. Believe me, if I don't stay on point, you'll regret it. There is a very important term that was used earlier called road builders. They build roads. That's all they do. They never seen a road they didn't like. If their God was the God, the world would be paved. And on the seventh day, let the asphalt cool. I went to a hearing on public transportation many years ago about funding public transportation statewide. As we entered the room of the hearing, lobbyists for road builders were handing out envelopes with checks to the legislators who were going to the meeting. The media was at that public hearing and blew it up in the newspapers. And the Alabama legislature passed a brand new rule. From now on, it is unethical for a lobbyist to hand an envelope with a check in it to a legislator in the hallways during the session. That's actually true. That's not good news, folks. That means don't let us see you do it. We invited the Ford Foundation there as part of a site visit to Alabama, and they looked at us with awe as this money changed hands, and they said, "We thought y'all were exaggerating." This is how it works. The problem is many, and I do want to say, to be sure, we've heard a lot of criticism of the existing transit system in Birmingham. But in many ways, it's like kind of like transit authority abuse. It doesn't have enough funds to be criticized. It doesn't have enough support to be attacked. If you don't have the money to repair a bus, if you have the money to buy new buses, if you have the money to fix the air conditioner, it's probably going to break. And air conditioners break on hot days, I believe, and heaters break on cold days. That's the way it is. So we have to find ways to work together and get back to program style to make sure that we have a transit system that's worthy of criticism. In order to do that, we've got to have a functional transit system, and we've got to change our relationship to our own governance. And I'll finish by saying this. We think of ourselves as consumers every time we go to election polls. You know, it's like buying cereal. Do I feel like Cheerios today or Rice Krispies? The most appealing politician and the most appealing box, we go and purchase it. Then we go back home, open up the pretty wrappers, and we don't like what's inside. Then we get radical. The next time we go to the store to shop for an elected official, we get another brand and come back and we're equally dissatisfied. Maybe civic participation isn't like shopping. Maybe our role in our governance is not consumers. Maybe we are co-producers of our governance. Maybe we have a role to play, some leadership to show, some initiative to take. So let's get off our consumption. We can do this. It's called civic work. I'm sorry the W word's in there, but that's what it's going to take. It's going to take work. Not doing radical new things, doing some old-fashioned things, like talking to people, telling people what you want, understanding what you need, and how your need is connected to the needs of another, and make those connections. We can do this. Transit has been painted black, it's been painted poor. Those are the two warning signs for economic, quote, developers. I call them slum builders and city abandoners. But anyway, whatever you want to call them, that paint job scares them away. We must attract ourselves to our cities and lead the way. we do have now the next piece. Are my ushers ready? Ushers. Do you remember the cards you were handed when you came in? Well, this comes the time for you to dig deep. You have to really dig deep and sacrifice. You're going to have to give like you never gave before. You have to give something that's very important to you. Some of you rather keep it yourself and spend it on your friends. I'm asking you for your name, address, telephone number, and email. So, you remember those cards? That's your offering for tonight. As the ushers collect this offering, please know this, that following this meeting, we'll be in contact with each one of you who left your contact information so we can follow this up with work in the areas where it matters. In the City Council District, Legislative District, County Commission District, State Senate District, and where you live. Because we must act on the deciders to get what we need. So, as we begin to close for the evening, are people clear about where we're trying to go?
Yeah.
To build a web, like a spider web across this county that connects these municipalities, to work and use resources like the Center for Social Inclusion and others, to work with the environmental groups, the healthcare groups, the access groups, the mobility groups, the neighborhood groups, and community groups to share a common language. Access belongs to everybody. And if there's anything else to be said tonight, I certainly won't be the one to say it. So I'd like to thank you for coming out tonight. If you left your contact information, you will be contacted and you'll be asked a couple of questions. Will you help us convene a conversation about doing something and acting on the deciders wherever you live in the coming days until we get what we need? There's a simple request like that. All we ask you to do is to work with your neighbor to advance the welfare of your city, the city, yourself and your neighbors. And with that, I'd like to thank you very much and thank you for attending.